Okay, yat eshnanta shirne kahasiko shike shas tuido sazani seket adon da kon la no tlenigi do shnat ani da no tlenigi hore naso tkanigi Navajo Nation President ben yede noche. It takes a lot of guts to say you want to be a leader of your nation. Thank you. It's just 10:30. We'll call the reform to order at 10:30. Uh, oh, 12:30. Excuse me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know. We'll start off with Shana.
Huyat kwed ano yahido kwed ides ishin to na ides kishida no sonho ni so ko e lunch ni aro nini ako na tani yedi no che he ko en ano ya so sai an has ko hot eshi ben shahalon shin aro ko en yada hot ya techni di shnit aro kodo ya tsodzin be het otzi ashni tson hi tsodzil hollo a tsodzil no a ni he otla hollo ko shi ya aba konsni be na shahida be tsodzil be het ist hojon role shman aslan yalkile hojon asli amen.
Yeah, Shana, Calvin. Next thing we'll do is a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. The flag is over here. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A moment of silence for our departed veterans. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you for coming. And this forum is put up by the Veterans 501c3 Northern Agency Veterans Organization 501. Edat antibida edal chio hon dat je higi ya de des unleko and that one of our missions as a 501c3 Northern Agency of Veterans Organization's mission is to advocate for federal direct funding and direct services for Navajo veterans surviving spouse, and to establish a designated VA regional office on the Navajo Nation. You have islands like the Guam, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands. Those islands are territorial jurisdictions of the Navajo Nation. They have the, they have direct funding. They have regional offices on those islands. Here, we have to travel to Albuquerque, Phoenix, Grand Junction, Tucson. Akontrati kaho ni kete inigi ben yehon dati ka 200 miles gas, lodging, food, ben hiche nahot i. And a lot of our You on that in Anki Benina. Those territorial jurisdictions have these services. The Navajo Nation is a nation within a nation. And the Navajo people, the Navajo, has the highest per capita serving in the military branches. Isn't here lot any clan salat so bahata net of all ethnic groups, Jinidona, Credo, other tribes. Navajo is the highest capital that are in the military. Every day our kids are joining the military. So why does a nation within a nation does not have these direct services, direct funding, and a regional office on the Navajo Nation? Why? That is our mission. Advocate il indo lelti no. Ahita ahilti. An hi not ego. Salat so no slenigi nihito ni 8 years ago. The nanat anigin yailu walo. Nihichinik iyol glad. Salat so no slenigi da kosawa ho zanjut eden no inkle. Aroshandat and anihye nihito ni. Ayobik eyadat net ado ehita ahil tindo banda sit it. That's how the 501c3 Northern Agency Veterans Organization started. We decided to do for ourselves what the Navajo Nation is not doing for us. But we still need the Navajo Nation to support our veterans, to do whatever they can to bring these issues about to fruition. Aban si keshet net kahasiko. Ako tibit al chiki edo dagal chimnahat at eda isja. Ni al chiki stands for red, R-E-D. Remember everyone deployed. San Hashik at least a lot katendakhe. Tonandendakhe. They got deployed. This is a national movement on the United States. Red Friday, so veterans, we wear red to support everyone that is deployed. So live age cheese a tagi Tommy Yazi or ye Tommy. Eol ye Tommy Yazi. Otto Lester Light, Otto Wilbert Foster, Do Rosie Foster, Otto the Jerry Twittichini, Paul George, Renita Henderson, and late Lord at the Nayat and ladies is Otto Calvin Charlie. These are the board members and members of the 501c3. We are not highly educated. We don't have PhD. We don't have a college degree. These people are straight out of the foxholes of Vietnam. That's the way I describe them. So, we are the grassroots. We are the voters. We are the one that's advocating for all veterans and surviving spouse Gold Star mothers. Under the Kodo, we're going to give the candidates 3 minutes to introduce themselves and their platforms. And there's 10 of them today. I don't invite you, but we did everything we could to send out all the information. I went to the election office And I told him, I said, I want to get all the phone numbers, contact numbers to all the candidates. But the election office told me, no, it's confidential. But these people they're running for public office. They want to be a public figure. I said, you're not going to share that. But they don't want to share their numbers. I said, okay, so be it. So we tried whatever we can to reach all 16 candidates. Ado, in that we're going to give them 3 minutes to introduce themselves. Lady A timer. That's it. Harlan. Benali. He's going to be showing you minutes. If you go over your minutes, there's a penalty. And it's called Article 15. $50 fine every 5 seconds. But I'm asking you candidates, please, Harlan, when he shows you your time in it. So you know what time you got. So without further ado, we'd like to start from the left side. Justin Jones. So,
Hello. Working?
let him come up here. Okay.
Yat shik edo shidenedo shel kahats nitlo bedak egit yat hidin nido lil shide yaidi bet nido nen shle nes zahneba shin ken shin eda shido ashi eda shnale ako yat hidin nido lil aron da it sense had is aholye Rock Point, Arizona ado inasha kohot hot adi kwen khani yasli Adon da samle nash enigido hollo shalchinen lenigido khalt tenen lenina kidelt edo sanen leni khadelt khot ko Adon da nle chilchimbi thodo sech ejbet khage khwege in hiran ade inaslado ade khahodet nana khwedo khojigo east of here akwedo in hiran I have a law office here, just right over here on Butler Street. I've been practicing law for over 20 years. The Veterans Association, and it's a very important time to have come together at this present moment. My first thought here today is I want to acknowledge, and the prayers that I always say in the morning, is for all of our Navajo young men and women that are deployed today. I know we have Navajo young men and women deployed with the 31st MEU and the 11th MEU, Marine Expeditionary Unit, off the coast of Iran. We also have the 82nd Airborne deployed. That moment of silence is very important. A veteran's life, a veteran's mindset, a veteran's way of thought. Many times we're not understood. Many times people refuse to understand us. But I'm glad that I could be a candidate for the Navajo Nation President to tell you that finally you have a candidate who understands you, because I'm one of you. Akot ade hian hidini dole.
When a candidate is done speaking, you leaders know when to get up and come up here. Don't wait on me.
I'm spoiled. I want to be introduced. Oh, yate she Myron Liza yinishia. Comanche nishle twa ne bashishin. Do Comanche de che klasha de chanele. It's so good to be with you all here today. Since I left office on January 15th, 2023, I have been trying to stay relevant for such a time as this that perhaps I could run for president. You see, the last administration, Jonathan and I had a 16-year plan to transform the Navajo Nation. He blinked. Little did we know that I'd be, kicked off the team. He won the primary by 5,000 votes, and he lost the general by 4,000. What does it say about me? Well, I'm here to give you a chance, Shedine, to realize some of those goals that we had stated. And then the pandemic happened. But since that time when I left office back in 2023, I saw fit to seek out organizations that could help me help our people. And one of them was the Northern Agency Veterans Organization. Well, with their 501c3, I saw that this was low-hanging fruit in which to entice outside capital, outside funds of money to come to the Navajo Nation to help us, in your case, build homes for their veterans and our elders and our Navajo people. And I saw fit to try to team up with the Nygren administration upon the announcement of the 1,000 Home Initiative. You see, as a businessman, I know how to seek out and spot trends. I know how to investigate opportunities. And in a time where rising costs of materials and tariffs and all that were threatening the market and supply chain management constriction, I said, you know what? Got to control labor, got to control cost of materials. And I sought out I got 1 minute left. I sought out eco panels, SIPS panel style manufacturing, the highest. These things don't need HVAC in the winter or summer. They stay warm in the winter and cool in the summer. I sought out 3D home printing. Cost of materials, again, you could bring the cost down. Eco panel, sweat equity. Every family in here could help their own family build homes. And by scaling, you could build 30 seconds. By scaling, you can give you play-by-play. By scaling, you can make homes cheaper. And if we need 1,000 or if we need 10,000, we could build homes with the new technology. As a businessman, I understand adopting new technology. And so during the time I've been out of office, I've been working for such a time as this to help our people, and in this case, our veterans, build homes that they so deserve. Allah, may God bless you.
Jagt shike shidna dahus ade kon nakhano yahagi ba hehasan ado kodon kislalt so bne be na dit eto bne lenigida bohot aligi dan hitis an khano yahagi e to shohot ego ba hehasan got adi shady tam chi da shijna hashka hat zohn shle ado tlas chi ba shindo na khidne da shido to yetlini da shnal ado hot ikon nakhania ado shi sazido izat kiste nkis lafton das kagin he shi kedos jeketa izat a bi yisit in hit khata yizla di la Washington the federal government hat neniki Zat kisten hinne ja dat eto dan hitzildo tsise keko zato niche na hot yo nit khata izla e salaf sogo ndasokhe yene ade nata istego sa in hitsaus ada sada get nihinne ada sa yego tati ko enda hastigo nice okay. When you think about a veteran, they took the best, the most intelligent, the most fit, the most strongest of mind and take them for your military service. After their service, they come back minus body limbs, minus a state of mind that's non-functional, and all the other trauma that comes with it. And so that's where I understand that our job will be as the president of Navajo Nation. How do we rebuild our men and women that have served in the United States military service? It all comes in different ways, different form, different shape. What case was one of the first military casualty of Vietnam War in 1967. Loop was also the birthplace in a lot of ways of Navajo code talkers. Those are the context that we come from. So all of us, 28% of Navajo Nation's population is represented compared to the 1% of the United States population. So we're almost 30% more participation of our elders. So we are truly committed to the welfare and the national security. And I thank you for being here today. Hopefully we can answer some of your issues and your problems you have today. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Shea Arvin Trujillo Nishia. Since the Cardin Shle, but Anye Bush's chin, I seen the Shichedo Nakaidinent Shinala. I just want to say good afternoon to each and every one of you. And to again, as my fellow candidates have indicated or discussed, the importance of being that veteran, the things that you gave up in order to protect our way of life and to protect our way of governing. And again, one thing I look at is looking at those that need our assistance as they come back, needing that as help. But more importantly, I look at you as veterans. You understand organization. You understand goals. You understand mission. And that's what I bring to this. But as I look at myself, you know, I look at stability. I have a wife here. We've been married for 43 years. I've got 3 grown children. All have their degrees. 2 have their masters. We challenged our children. We challenged our kids. And they went and they performed. Much as you were challenged as you went to boot camp, as you looked at those things, you were challenged and you went and you performed. And so now I come before you, I'm an engineer. You know, I have management capabilities. Leadership is one aspect, but let's look at the management piece. You as veterans understand that. You know, how do we look at management? I've been in negotiations. I've been in right-of-ways. I've been in energy development. I've been in economic development. I worked in the public and the private sector. 40 years of diverse employment. And that's brought me to this position. 11 of those years under the Division of Natural Resources, under Kelsey Begay and Joe Shirley Jr. We were able to accomplish great things because I was able to organize that division so that we could expand US 491 550. We did lift the Bennett Freeze. We built the hotel at Monument Valley. We extended the life of Four Corners Power Plant in Navajo Mine. You all understand those big projects, and they are still here providing benefit to the Navajo people. And so that's what I bring to this candidacy. And so I would appreciate your vote and your consideration and your questions. Thank you very much.
Yad Constantini, Shay Donovan began Shep Bales and Slatoi Glini was Chin, Nakadenet the Shiche, Tobaji Ajitashanale. I stand before you because, we've seen a lot of issues going on with the government. You have to look at the situation we're in. You have 16 candidates standing ready to, stand up for you for all these issues that I had in the government. It takes a lot. I mean, $1,500 is like a lot of people here in Arizona, New Mexico, is like 2 months' rent. I mean, we're in a dire situation. If you don't vote for me, vote for somebody that you believe that's going to help you. And as a veteran, I had to leave this. I had to leave the state to get help. I wound up in Los Angeles. I wound up on the beach trying to get help down there from the Veteran Services, and I became part of that program down there. And I was able to finish my degree down there when I get veteran housing. And I was asked as a veteran, they asked me specifically because I came from a Navajo reservation to speak for them. In Beverly Hills, I stood before 600 to 700 elite people in Los Angeles. I stood before the Lakers, Jamie Buss, and all the people, all the Lakers. We were asking for funding for veteran housing, and that's what I was able to do. And they told me how to go about doing it. There was a lot of presenters, and that night we raised about I think $2.1 million for veteran housing in Los Angeles. And I think that we might have to do that here in New Mexico and Arizona. We might have to go to ask help from a lot of these professional organizations so that we can get housing. So anyway, I believe that, this ARPA funds that we have is a total disaster, all this housing funds, because I believe a lot of the people weren't professionally had the ability to build those homes. They got like maybe 1,000 homes. When they rounded it out, they were like $300,000 per manufactured homes. So there's a lot of issues that need to be fixed. So I believe that all of you are here for a reason. And look at these candidates. I would love to get every person's best points and be the Navajo Nation president. They all have great points, and they all deserve to be up here and to be next Navajo Nation president. Thank you, Chad.
Yeah, welcome home to each and every one of you. Yego ba Hinson. I watched my Yaj come down that stair using a walker, one using a cane, and one being really careful. So I acknowledge that, to be safe when you're walking the stairs. Nobody understands a veteran like a social worker. I was a case manager. I worked with all kinds of people, men, women, children, fathers, grandfathers, victims, perpetrators, in all walks. And when you work with people, you really have to look at them really deep in their heart to see what's going on. There's a lot of challenges that people are facing. They've been dismissed, abused, ignored, not heard. And as a social worker, you learn how to refine that skill to listen, to pay attention, not to just what they're saying, but what they're not saying, what their body is telling you. That's what a social worker does, and I do that very well. So when I think about it, as your president, my priority for you is your mental health. It's going to be your physical health, your financial well-being, your education and transition back into the community when you come home, and then also, most importantly, your home, your ceremonial home, things that are really important to you. She'e sanja kene inchle. Telna habilni bashish chin. Titna janita shiche. Tkabah dashanala. Leyi twadat nasha. My Nully Husteen, my Nully Asa, they're from Nosh Chitty, New Mexico. I believe in our communities. I believe in everything that we have. There's so many opportunities, as many as there are threats. This leadership that we have today gives us an opportunity to secure resources, to look and deliver results that we really need for our veterans. My experience spans from working with tribal government, service both in urban and remote areas, nonprofit leadership, and national advocacy. I have extensive nonprofit experience. We heard about the 501c3 here. I want to help. I know how a 501c3 works. You have to work very hard at fundraising, messaging, communicating, and meaning what you do. You can't just sit there and make yes or no decisions. You actually have to help. So I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and be there with you. I can't.
Yate Ashita say Johnny Russell said oh Tiskari Kilasta, Torichin, Shido, Tony Sunday, the Shija, Tashi, Tashidos, isn't the Chanel. Tiskari Kilasta, Auto Sisla so shadlo. Even a ditch up in a shaya. Shinard Karen Warner's bar. Now at dinner deep in a hay. This cheat at the horn catcodlo. Other dog gotten sinna should days do everybody still now other it's not Ajda other should now Sam Valdez World War II at Tanas Ba. He was on a gunnership. Other should now Clarence McGay, Leroy, Wesley the Vietnam de das back. Agent Orange to be done then it's a lot so Ado Bakanda Chatashit on house. On the whale they go and get this card. He never thought he gone. I could. I don't see. I don't hear ni. Bad don't hear this nil. I don't. Kade title 17. The nebal don't on that John he didn't. I kusha. Hey down he gay. And that's bad. Nicky Zarbe on his now World War II and that. Even now with the bishop. I could. Don't get it no cobalt don't look in the nico. But that he gone but gone Olga Junior. I don't but John see Kado out in not this any in hold the haloni, but John see Kado. I need in it I pretend God by Nick Kayak. Do whatever we want when we want. Nick veterans but not here. Not Cloud on the house cutter. Ako Agisle, Ado lay as a on a J Hadin Tra, Hago the Cutley, Belgis and Los Salt Lake, Phoenix, Denver, good, and then a cut. Asha couldn't, the never chaos alga. Hashot, I didn't yet get Nick's lawn lays, Zago back his linkwood. I could have a kaya naka, Ado, only link last so torn under Nakakashal, Nikal Chindo. My nephews and niece on that kai, their navies and military on that kai. Citizen, Banish, which jump and down order. I could ain't on that bar. Although here I couldn't get only down on sunny door here, although as I start and I see tiny door here. I will be in his order, but see low here and get it all. On the floor here.
Yate ashiketo ashine kodo nikes laltson helhonolonegi yat en kidedeshni to shi ikedan ollento ado she sanje keneneshle ado tko hedlini bashischin kia ani dashe do zeltra kia ani dashenale wat amato asanshle adon le so halne biyado yese adet nasha fish point hol yete le talana do talagai do bisto tlishin deshkish na hos aigi kwaigi holia adon helli holado shwan holado manshle what adehun sinto le ado kodo. Thank you for the opportunity to invite us here to the Veterans Forum. It is a very important and also sensitive topic that not many people are welcome to it. But first and foremost, I am a mother. I am also a wife of a veteran. And he did serve during when 9/11 happened and during Iraqi freedom. He's not a very, we have many veterans that continue to be at home and quiet, and they love their peacetime as well. And the quietness, as a wife and as a mother. And I continue to be there for our veterans that cannot be here. Many of them, they don't have the ability to be here with us in this auditorium. And to be within that sensitive and with that prayer and that support. So many of the efforts that I have done, not only as a speaker, but being a wife of a veteran, we do many of our outreaches to veterans. This is on my own time, on my own personal time as a family. Continue to haul firewood. And to this day, we still continue to do that. We don't publicize it because we know we respect those privacy of our veterans. Our Gold Star mothers, those are some areas that we need to think about too. What services are we providing to the families, to the children, scholarship support? So those are the areas that I continue to work on, and that is a passion of mine because sometimes those are issues that are not talked about. And also revamping with the Navajo Nation Veterans Administration. My husband is not registered within the Navajo Nation VA because he felt discouraged and already being able not to, he gave up on the system. And many of our veterans still continue to, live in those type of situations. They want to be heard and they want to be respected on equal levels.
Gentlemen of the Red Organization, thank you for having this here today. And, my name is Alexander Chambers. And, number one, I think you guys all understand what your mission is. You guys have, in the military, you guys have direct orders from your, president. And so that is exactly, I think, one of those issues that is missing, really, when you don't have a clear directive. And when you are president of the office of the Navajo Nation, there should be a very clear directive. And that clear directive should be clearly, no shades of gray, all black and white. What the? And, because that is the guidelines you all follow. And that should reflect in your leadership. That should reflect in your general orders. That should reflect in your mission. And I think that's what your organization represents here. So I want to thank you for inviting us here. It's it's a matter of national security of this country, of the Navajo Nation, and our globe. One of the things is the United States maintains global order for a reason, because you all are the backbone of this country. And so that must be maintained to the highest level. And as president of the Navajo Nation, that should resonate throughout Indian country as well. And Yego Nahot. And some people might say, oh, ani, salal sol yegi zawazut adokid, edo what eda. Because number one, you shed your life to sacrifice your life for this country. As a civilian, we don't understand that. I don't understand that, but you do. And you follow that to a clear T. And as we move this nation forward, I can only tell you that I won't promise you anything, but I'll tell you one thing, that the directives will be clear. The orders will be clear, what you need to do as veterans. And so I am calling on all veterans front and center, and let's move this nation forward. With that.
Good afternoon. Altrahasi lot Arnold suka honollonigi ihe. Altsa ihe nikida dishnil. Aros last so honollonigi so zinigo. Nikido ihe. Thank you for my freedom. Ado welcome home. Last so honollonigi. Ado we do have Gold Star families. I have my mom and dad up there, Melbourne and Alberta. Todichini. Ea Kobogan ko edi. They lost a son in Iraq. They invited me into their family as their son after this. They lost their son. I don't know. Tsalanga tapahin shle. Change kine basis chain to the chini dash nalado to the conjure dash chain. Who ye the hajna adequate Steamboat, Arizona. What do ya ko enhania adoneta. So last so had any gitiko. Ado Shananta is last so no Lenigi Quen House Agi Hands Hago. Hala Yego it is a cotton de hota. Since so good. Nahant on the store hands on Hikato was Anantla. Sabuga Zande or George had the Ted and Halde. Nikis is last so no Lenigi. Ben Hikat or was Gidon Hikat or was like it hate or a dot at the yaw and height either. Hot or quiet. Shao ahago yego in the dilnish do ya saiben dish shahala. She does a last so in Schlida and the chin chinella is last so in around the but Ade is Shatligido, Donald Noble Senior will gain this a 1976 at this was Angelo Washington, Adon Hans at Zara in a way grants that should not I was not. About the hazards, I don't has twee Fred Johnson on ya at the hot edita, he was a veteran also. A kodo no yahagi, a shahan heritage, he don't know ni veterans holonigi, Arnold so ko hajoshi, that did nitodi by yatki ibichi, hajo, it's a hilchanada hatish, he had.
Okay, thank you, candidates, for your 3-minute introduction. And we all know that, or some of you probably don't know, freedom is not free. Somebody paid a price for your freedom. Somebody bled for your freedom. Leha atzes dago, destugo. Hakin hatkin hashkishbizes dauda. Ha ishba na shatchens and I want to go home. But 20 loye hatasi. You're stuck there. You're there and you got to do what you got to do. You don't know if you can come home. Those are some of the things that Salat Soba didn't. So it is not free. Ani kodoshan atla anna salat so hazo kid adonosanana. The reason why we advocate for our benefits is because of the injuries that we have received. Physically, mentally, spiritually. That is what the United States is paying for that. That's the VA compensation. It is not entitlement. It is not income. That's why the IRS does not tax that. It is a benefit that is earned. Those are some of the education that needs to go out to our leaders. We're looking up to you. We want to believe you. We want to work with you. We need your support. You don't have to be some kind of a leader and have a title. You can be a grassroots and still help. And we talk about gold star mothers, gold star parents. Spouses that you suffered. You supported your veteran, your soldier. But so there's an sin banda الكتاب that ishaho consciage de is nan nestole de anapje tegen jigo so del zendole is nan should no Traditin is the shale sauce. Tronande nashal a penon is nishnelo so this is no. So last saw that and leisure he's doing drugs should it no. Asatinana stan leisure is should it no. But they didn't know, see. Out you bao osha should net ha sing so. Ako tie yaha le Sata Tommy. He's taking notes. Hot edo leshnenigi and lady zo. So he's taking notes. Ado, when we come back together, when in our meeting, we're going to take those notes and we're going to dissect them. Put them in order. Nihinant ahot yatash hidot and ala Johodonish Aro Kodo Yaha I'm gonna ask for 10 veterans or surviving spouse da Hoshi Hates Nzanigi 10 il ego quadadoti Ek at ade hakko 10 of ego hates no sanigi. You will ask a question, you will gripe, you will do suggestions, you can bitch about whatever is bothering you, just do it. They're going to hear what the veteran, what the surviving spouse, we did not rehearse this. So I want the 10 veterans. So put down here. 10 veterans, 10 surviving spouse or whatever. The first 10. Shana. Oh, first 10. Oh. Haja. Dibich Aholanja. Haj la 10. Up there. Oh, you still count. Then le might mana 2 minutes. Le hardly nanda not yadash kit or let hit on it. Mana
Ayate, good morning, good afternoon. Shay Joe Ramon in Shea. I served in the United States Marine Corps, 1972 to 1974, the tail end of Vietnam. And first and foremost, that after what I just said, thank you very much for your service. Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard. On top of that, the very important thing is surviving spouses that no senigi could so there's been head off new nice he doesn't how a son you people that prayed for us as we were there one shake on here should they see eat could order don't know so thank you very much. Thank you for your service. I have one question is, this is not our first rodeo. This is not the first time the veterans are being used to get a certain position. We need change to where people that really talk, take action. You go to the streets of Gallup, you go to Albuquerque, you go to Denver, homeless. Gallup, whenever you come to a red light, there's one of our own people, veteran, homeless, need help, a call, sign that you're a and the veterans need not be homeless. We got the help. Freedom is not cheap. A lot of our brothers and sisters didn't come home. Thank you.
Yat Equasil, Shay Jerry J. Torichin in Shia, Ashin, Slonagani, Basasin, Hogatland as a Chedo, Nakrispite as a Nalla, Sanala Shay, Chihuahua, Holyetan, Mexico, Arosinaga. A call a Shay Yati, Shit is Age Yati cut Cocha. Hogandot koto electricity kuchihotase aro belakana bezes enigito kuchihotase akwan hithaz anigi haten hinte PTS nenigi atan naje benahagi eshe bahayosna elachit edo cho ida adata naso thanigi at nak eshe yai Ben Hislahatosne. To the Lachit Equa, PTS had any Nahanat any Benahodoni, Hathanosne, Ado in the Dazeben Dasla, Ado the more church on Dakagi, a cordat and Nanosneco, Dequat and Na. Quite had a tinda Sosoliagi, Ede, be it Echit Ed Na, Yat Eto, Leshot, and I what of. Batal in the Edige Hitat, as Nido e Konaga, as Nido et ad, Echit equat a sign dot Lizigi, Edige, Ehasus, Edige, Analiagoshi, PTS, Nenigi, Eshe now what on it, Nusano Eshe what I, Bansas Kesako. What they, what then I saw Tanigi. Because was the last so I don't nenigi. Or what I call a share lamb.
Yad esk ein allenigi sé yaha elto kudos lalt so transle ado naidi kidol ben yahage tra naidi deskil ade not ani desle do nenigi hen hano yahagi anoltro ado elisige yaha ben aidish kide oh you gon hije na hot oh you should naidi kid alone de kon de tra you see ben aidi deskil tage yaha home site lease so the year go eben hichen da hui na ko hot out adult ni khalet out adult ni la khat no ado a yoda the general survey and archaeological clearance and all that stuff a yo idle course, a lot of the band and Schleen, of course, has a home site list in Ebuka, not sure. The process started in Ado Kohobahile, but you know, in Chona, Jodobi got a lot on. Ado, of course, these lots of you go ahead, Bada, Lili Quaggy, and how to get your Idlinigi. Ado Nana, Kigonagi, Yaha, Kurosha, Hadzi, traditional healing, Ninigi. Edo funding aju abasan nedo joski dan and ako height han had or least adet not ani no sinigi. Ado nana tau hadi chapter hat hasogi realignment that's and they at the la le ako you're in the wrong chapter. You're supposed to be in this chapter dan hit it. And if you didn't get that question clearly, please give me a call. My number is 505-592-1453. Ado adat has okay lano so yeah.
Oh, yat Shay Demetrius Sims in a share. Twohe glean in a shlet, though my Edish Kishney Bush's chin, touching Edish shade, what is not Edish another. I have a lot of issues. I am not happy with our current administration. They are not doing anything for the veterans. As Northern Agency, we have passed resolutions for no confidence against our executive director, Bobby Ann Baldwin. And with 3 agencies, with 1 chapter out of central agency, and the president will not even listen to us. The administration has put these plans, or set this example, and yet they're not listening to the veterans. We also passed another resolution to end her contract. No one can hold her accountable. The only one that can talk to her is the president. And no one is listening to us. We have a lot of issues. We also passed the resolution for stolen valor. I am getting tired of everybody impersonating us, everybody using us. We need those laws that they have on the VA level for us. We have people walking around here putting on whatever medals they want, putting on whatever rank they want, claiming they were boots on the ground in combat. We need that law for us. I'm getting sick and tired of people claiming they were serving in the military when they never didn't. So it's really upsetting to me. I'm a commander of Shiprock Chapter Veterans Organization, and I'm very direct, and that's what a lot of people don't like about me. But I'm going to always be here and advocate on behalf of everyone. There's a lot of things not going right with them in NVA, and we need to restructure that entire thing. The entire organization needs to be redone because we need help. Our veterans have been suffering. We have not seen the executive director or OPVP since November of 2025. We have 0 communication at 3 agencies right now. That is unacceptable. They're not helping us. They're not doing what they're supposed to. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Anthony Astros. I'm from Shiprock area. I'm a veteran, Vietnam veteran, and my biggest complaint right now is what I don't like is where's our flag? Where is our flag? You know, I was traumatized. I had to sing that song to that flag. I was in grade school, in the boarding school. It hurts me. I would just say, where is our flag? People, you sit back there and you watch everybody, you don't say nothing. I said, where's our flag? That's important to us. And I have PTSD. And my own people fired me from my job as a registered nurse specialized in wound care. Fired me after 28 years. The only person I think that's going to do the job is this gentleman right here, Justin Jones. Needs a clean house. Just literally clean house. That's the way I feel. And that's how I see it across the board. I've been waiting for the gentleman for a long time. Through my prayers, it comes to me in my dreams. One day, the day is here. He's going to do it. Give him that vote. Okay, Shema.
Yat Eshik Edoshidene, Arosalat Sono Lini Hia Quai Nisokai, Shaberni Tyler Wilson in Shia, Hawatlan and Shlon Tachini Bashishin, Twahetlini the Shiche, Twitch Eatni the Shanale, Aronat Ani Nas the A, Ada in Nasha, Arosalat, U.S. Army Jation on the Shnazde. I currently serve as the secretary of the largest chapter veterans organization, so I serve alongside Commander Sims. So as I was driving here from Shiprock, I wrote down a couple things that I just want to note, okay? So first of all, as a Navajo veteran, I'm proud that our people have answered the call to serve at one of the highest rates, as Mr. Vern Lee stated earlier, okay? We fulfilled our oath, so today I'm asking our leaders to fulfill theirs by providing transparent, accountable, and effective leadership for the Navajo veterans, okay? So I have a few questions that I scribbled down. Commander Sims shed light on what the current administration is functioning as, okay? With that being said, we have lost confidence in the leadership of the Navajo Nation Veterans Administration due to constant turnover, lack of transparency, and instability, okay? Those things are vital. So if elected, okay? What specific actions will you take within the first 100 days to restore trust, ensure accountability, and stabilize the Veterans Administration? Ashona, please answer that. That one's important. Number 2, would you support an independent review or audit of the Navajo Nation? Financial management, services to veterans. And then number 3, can you commit today to meeting with veterans from all 5 agencies within the first 6 months that you guys take office? And the last thing Eloise kind of touched on is our ancestors understood that warriors needed healing before returning fully to their families. What is your vision for creating a Navajo Nation where every returning veteran is offered a path to traditional healing?
J. Stephen Barber inske aro ashihin dinaensle aro ozeit kachine bashischin aro kentechine dashichero nakede dashanala aro akwa edit kotka holyeje kehste akonde aju nahoyasheta upper fruitland veterans organization aje anstrato she aju commander insle ako the basic holds as a commander. Question and Ashabahonos and all CVO member longo ho one but di ako di a big bagani he's off the reservation. Do a reservation makai baganda. Ako atana chep ba hachapa inseno. But phone calls, this I ran into problems. Attend, I should need. Ako indicate, and had is the height, Bansok, so the veterans that are living off the reservation, Chicago, was had a hot zago to a bin and Hiddiskito, like because was a whole sort of like, yeah.
Yat ishas twido Suzanne Sitzil Kendosh Jake. Alo Shalchindo Suto Kedosh and Alekedan of Lini Razo Kai. Tim Claw inch, Shin on the Enchle. Trachini, Natant, Nat Hachin, Yea, Tashije, Ado, Ashche, Masando, Shade at Hanarane, Dashanale. Equayat, DG, ya is lots on it, Lenny. He caught all the water. On Nishigi, is Toyash Honda, she says it on Nash on. Palakanak at a policy be on Nish. Did the Naja been his zad in hat and Lenigi? Nada. That's the way I see it. Our leaders done nothing. This needs to be really changed, really look at it. Need a good overhaul of our policies. How we're gonna work with our veterans. This is really essential and very important to us. Has anige shadi Shlatindo ba asana 51 years. Hogan shado nil nso the snow ho. This street hot atosha neta ok opeshida snot ahako. Every year all our leaders, our candidates that are running, they use us veterans for their vote to get in position, to get in power. That shouldn't be the case. This has to end. Ado has three bakadish with no and these things never happen. Kodo hehe kodo dan he's not agi.
First of all, I want to thank all you gentlemen up here, including the red team. Ladies and gentlemen, giving us this opportunity to express our thoughts and a lot of things that are shared. My name is Buck Chambers. I am also a Vietnam veteran. I'm 100% service-connected disabled. When I first came back, I was facing a lot of problems and issues and concerns. A lot of these veterans have a lot of things in common, a lot of problems, they need help. One of the main issues that I'm concerned is about housing. I applied for housing when I came back. I waited 10 years. Finally, I just withdrew my application. I said, they're not going to help me. But what I noticed when I travel across the reservation, there's a lot of NHA housings are all boarded up. Why is that? Why are those houses boarded up? Why can't they renovate those homes and give those to their veterans? They will cut costs and home site lease. Okay, they will cut all that. There will be a shortcut. So and I'm going to, whoever becomes president, I'm going to personally challenge you on that. Housing. When I first enlisted into the Marines, I was only 17 years old. And up to this date, I think the youngest Navajo per capita is to enlist in the Marines. And then I found myself, and 6 months later, I found myself in South Vietnam. And sure, it's true. We are used as numbers. Let's stop doing that. Give your honesty and 5 seconds. It's easy. I could stand here and talk to you guys all day long, but 5 seconds is not enough. Thank you very much.
My name is Tim Johnson. I'm the current Veterans Liaison for the Nigerian administration. I got to say that we've done a lot. I've walked away from something that ain't doing nothing. I always said that. And with what we have, you know, you got to make do. How many Space Force people in here? The Navy. I hear some crickets. What about the Air Force? There we go. The Army. The Marine Corps. Heck yeah. I was 17 too when I joined, so I have to say that as a veteran, this is the one Nihinan chinias na lo yadatki and this need his lots on it linige ekoye et koye et an see kiss John this I think the biggest thing that you have to understand is the Veterans Administration is just too small. We need to make that into a division. That's the only way we'll have enough personnel to cater to our veterans. There's over 30,000 veterans on the Navajo Nation. So I like the veterans organizations from the chapter that really are innovative. That and it's like Vern and his group up here. Ahodat ele onsentle. Ere yashan hote ado da da ya lago ba yan yasto kishin has alande. Digin hilta holodo.
Okay, yeah. This wasn't orchestrated by us. It wasn't planned for any one of these 10 veterans to speak. I wanted the candidates to hear from the public, from the veterans population. So last so hot an sa case so hon jo even ya edi kodo ni ha otzi. So at this time, we'll go to questions. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes to respond to the questions provided by Northern Agency Veterans Organization. And the candidates can respond to any one of the 10. Kodo ha ziki. No ha zi na she hutaban just case no. That's your time. You got 2 minutes to do whatever way you want to answer the question. But kodo, our first question. Yego araisa nostra. Northern Agency Veterans Organization, 501c3 nonprofit organization. His mission, the mission is to advocate for federal direct services and direct funding for veterans on Navajo Nation. And 2, to establish a designated VA regional office on the Navajo Nation. What is your plan to make this happen? Again, 2 minutes. And thank you for the 10 that spoke. You showed these guys what 2 minutes, how to follow the rule. You showed it, you displayed it. That's discipline. And we want our leaders to be disciplined and do what they say they want to do. Kodoha doljish. Shananta, Larry, Noble. As soon as he speaks, he's done. Do the same way. We know who you are, so you don't need introduction. Yeah.
Jo yes nantai. Aro arit aisol sangido kuron daidos kirgin juron daidos kit. Aro dita kodoshina bone angit onil cheda hotit alo. Aro is a promise that hitil nil. Hakoshi. Question number 3 home site lisient. Hawan dot alo kaya pahata hat zogi. Halet o ya naha benahat ado lehla. Shiban this case oga the last soy no shenigi. That al naha salau kola ya at Nhiton sit zahagito to ajbi huit enigi ati nalsos the net dagi home site policies that edo processes aki in hin hasella. Nhe kaya nhabach atato ya ebni na koegi she aita nhabonet zau ado bke ginnes an hajon hasta haton nicht on sort over this case ado biga habach aholone hot on haban this case and I.
You know, what I would suggest, instead of, you can operate as a 501c3, but what I have understood about business, you know, running my restaurant here in Farmington, over the years. So a 501c3, you have limited capabilities. But if you want to raise some serious cash, I mean real cash, I would suggest your organization incorporate an official corporation and let a financial institution recognize this corporation. Because what you can do is, number one, you can establish a note. That's what a banking system identifies. You can take that note and you can go in and, you can raise a lot of money. That is one idea that I had, and I raised this to our former chairman, Peter McDonald, because he was advocating to build a Navajo Nation museum. And they were trying to do it under a 501c3. So the limited capability of a 501c3, there's rules of engagement, raising money. But if you do it as a corporation, you can raise unlimited cash through private equity. You can do it through, buying assets. You can build your assets to build that momentum, and you can do more with that. So to make your organization a little bit more, powerful, that's one suggestion I would give you guys.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to attempt to try to do as much of the 10 questions out of the regional office for our veteran affairs. So I think as a speaker, working with dialoguing with our congressional leaders, establishing even a VA clinic here within the bounds of our Navajo Nation. We do have them already at Chinle, Tuba City, Shiprock. However, they do need the numbers. The services are there. However, they're tracking our numbers. So we can try and go to Congress and say that we do have the numbers here. 100 days at Ninigi, and I think I hear a lot of problems on the division director. The division director for NNVA is the only one that is contracted. It doesn't go through council confirmation. That contract needs to be displayed for the public. And what are the terms and the negotiations for salary that has happened? So that does need to be disclosed to our public, and the veterans should have even the CBO's, ABO's recommendation for that division directors. So on Title II, we put all division directors have to be accountable. However, that is not complied with to this day. Housing, a lot of questions on housing and home renovations. We do need a public tracking. Many of our veterans have outstanding housing application, more than 80 to about 100 pending applications. And the veterans and your family should know where your application stands and what other documentation you do need. So that does need to be visible. I do support an audit of an NVA. It does need to happen after this administration is done.
Number 4, Bobby Baldwin. You said, if I come your president, I'll get rid of her. But not any, don't get easy later. Hat either not so that this siho, don't die, though you cross your teeth or you don't dot your eyes. Lay not odd enough with the not odd not so nay, neither no behind that. I recently done listen to that is caught to no behind that, yeah. Do kick 8 or is not listen no behind that. I called not so say 8 days, but now only, but she on and not what no by that ticket, yeah. I call Asia door in and his last so. I call the first thing I do is get rid of her. Other Haitians, Salai, Nicholas last choice and that, let's say, when I don't taste though, Nick car doll with Nick A. All the homicide leases, don't say I'm a landlord. If you want a homicide lease, hook me up, I'll hook you up. Joe administration trust land, all the trust land. To never kill you, huh? You're entitled to a home site lease. To Bahachinda. Grazing permit that they source in the within a half a mile boundary line, you're entitled to a home site lease. I'll help you out. Honestly, no, we'll pay for your survey and archaeologists, all that. On Hado, Nisorado, how one does that, the lease. I don't know, was Mr. Jones, one that the lease, I'll do his drywall for him. I don't hear.
Yeah, a 501c3 is one of the most important business structures you can have. You can fundraise all kinds of money with a 501c3. There's no limit. What's even better is that your funders, your donors, they love it because they can use it as a write-off for their organization. So in my opinion, that is the best business structure you can have. Second is within the first week, not 6 months, I will be ready to meet with all 5 agencies, draft a strategy, and walk it across the street to council to turn it into law so that every single stakeholder on the Navajo Nation will be lawfully accountable to the veterans. No more using you as pawns, absolutely not. Every single enterprise, every single part of our organization is responsible for helping you. Freedom isn't free. We all have to contribute. When I look at housing, which is a very important conversation, I have 4 specific solutions I want to create. I want to rehabilitate those existing NHA homes. We see them, everybody sees them, and they're an eyesore. Let's fix them. When we do that, we turn it into a multi-generation home, which one area is private area for our veterans because of all the personal challenges they face. Let them have their space. We can purchase these debilitated homes and then transfer them so that they're passed on to other veterans. We can also continue to purchase modular homes in bulk because you get the best price. This past ARPA funds, and this is our post-ARPA. This past ARPA, we learned that some of these vendors took advantage of Navajo Nation. They charge $400,000 for a home. That's not what it costs. That is ridiculous. And we know who is responsible for that. Finally, allow a veteran to build a duplex, triplex, fourplex so they can bring in extra income. And all you have to do to change that is to change the Navajo Nation code. Find somebody who's competent to run your veterans program, and I'm ready to do that. Thank you.
One thing about the housing issue on the Navajo Nation, it's a total mess, because as a regular Navajo Nation resident or member on the Navajo Nation, you have a 5% chance of receiving a house. That means you have a 95% chance of dying before you get a home. And as a veteran, you have a 2% chance of receiving a house, and that's pitiful. I mean, we're in an epidemic of housing. We have multi-generational homes where people are living three generations of people living in homes. Grandma, the parents, and their kids are having kids. So you have about 4 generations of people living in the house, and people in Winter Rock are just like, they're traveling, constant traveling. They need to shut down a lot of the travel and food and hotels that they're staying. They go to Las Vegas every year. We all know that. So we have to shut down a lot of expenses that we're having and start putting money more into housing. That has to be number one, because I think a lot of people are looking for housing. Not just us veterans, but even our just regular Navajo Nation. So this thing could be done with executive orders, executive order, and also legislation. You really got to get all the delegates behind you on this. You have to go to the state, also get them behind you, the senators and congressmen, to get more funding. And that's the way you have to do it. You probably have to go out and do some fundraising out in the bigger cities. you can do that and move that money into housing. So that's number one thing is get people, into homes. Okay.
Again, thank you for those questions and those comments by the Veterans Association. As I look at these questions, there's a tremendous amount of frustration out there. My second platform is bringing service delivery back to the nation. And that's what you're looking at. You're looking at management here. This is management. This is establishing goals and priorities and making sure that staff hold to those areas that they've committed themselves to. Making sure that they communicate that and we communicate that back to you on a timely basis so you know where we're at. I've done that. The Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project that you see being built now. We did the water rights. We did the EIS. We helped with the route development. We did the discussions with the chapters. We worked with the chapters. We established a route. And all of that on time, and the federal government paid for it. That's how you run a project. That's what we got to do with veterans. Set up the priorities, set up the goals, and keep the staff accountable. And advocate with the federal government. Find ways for them to fund it. Team with other Indian nations in order to push that area forward. That's what we did before, and we need to do that again. The Navajo Nation is strong and it's big. Tribes will look to us, but we have to have them look to us and work with them. Then we will accomplish a lot. Thank you.
There's such thing as a humanity or dignity that needs to be offered to every person. It is almost heartbreaking, more than heartbreaking, to have our veterans beg, plea beyond their dignity to try to get a simple service. We should rise above that. There should be humanity in us. That is that they're entitled, all of us are entitled that, particularly by a government. Did Nkisalaf saw Haishin Yedaskhe, Haishin da Yilsa, Haishin Yeda Ostne, Nihida do Honda Sikhe, Don Kilberhozenda, Betsada Honne Ye, Adoe Hashin so that the Yin Gondakhe. We need to owe that to them through providing good services. Ado Kojosto Trust Fund, the latest one. I serve on the Navajo Nation Investment Committee as part of the 23rd Council, also a Budget and Finance member for 4 years. I sat on that trust fund that's available. Now Navajo is veteran Sigi. It's at $235 million right now. Oshija, Kodeh et neta to kid, atishna. Oh, yo, a peso go. The nature of that okedo. A hode ejil gasna halon. Has a hundred or godo it's in the age nation halon. Ndahil akot. Eben na kadet or lech. I need a wanda sona. Bin lini. Ye go by a deal nation so a kodonat ane na nashin's kid or lech. I have.
No, yeah, they are. I believe that we've already started on the home building platform. It's already rolling. Well, with the 25-year business site lease over at the old Wool program in Shiprock, so it's already started. So I want to respond to the gentleman who's talked about homes, and I think every veteran here, every family, every Gold Star mother would love to see homes come to fruition. Everybody's promising it. I'm delivering right now. And so using the 501c3 platform, the funding mechanism, you could use that, but there are other opportunities that are there. Opportunity zones, which are being defined right now, today being the deadline for the Navajo Nation in Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. July 1, these opportunity zones will be listed, and so we're putting forth some census tracts that we will use and entice outside funding to come to the Navajo Nation. We want to use the EBE-5 program to bring out outside investment dollars to help fund this, along with the 501c3 mechanism that is already in place with the Navajo Northern Agency Veterans Organization. And so we are already working on it with eco panels, solar gon. Everybody would love a solar gon, right? A Hogan type SIPS panel building house, not a tin can, right? And so these are already in place, and as the president of the Navajo Nation, we will build homes. And I think I challenged Boone Nygren the other night. He said he built 110 homes in 4 years. I said, we'll build 1,200 in 1 year. So, oh, yeah.
I'm calling this plan the Purple Heart Veterans Administration Plan under the Justin Jones administration. This plan, number one, the 501c3 platform is an excellent idea, but we're going to make it better. This is how we're going to make it better. I've been involved with schools and medical centers who have 638 programs from the federal government. Although the United States Veteran Administration is not under the Department of Interior, we can go ahead and begin some initiatives to get direct funding from the United States Veterans Administration directly to the Navajo Nation. Here are the figures. Arizona gets $3.78 billion from the Veterans Administration. New Mexico gets $2.2 billion from the Veterans Administration. And Utah brings in $1 billion from the Veterans Administration. Now, if you take percentages of that and bring it directly to the Navajo Nation, we're talking over $100 million coming to the Navajo Nation, directly funded to the Navajo Nation. It's going to have to take a president to walk the halls of Congress, to change some laws, and then to meet with the leaders over there to make this happen. But guess what? You're going to be there with me. That's the plan that that's going to alleviate a lot of our housing and medical issues that we're dealing with today, because you're going to have some money. Right now, we're only allotted 4% of the general revenues. You need a president that's going to find the money for you veterans.
Okay. Question number 2, Dole. The current Navajo Nation Veterans Administration housing policy regarding renovation and repairs for veterans living off the Navajo reservation. Navajo veterans who serve in the armed forces and possesses a valid census number do not receive housing assistance if they reside off the reservation. Many of these individuals live off the reservation due to factors such as availability of land, no home site lease, employment, opportunities, educational and vocational training on the existing land covenant. The Navajo veterans population continues to increase. Candidates, could you please provide a clarification on why the current housing policy excludes veterans from receiving assistance for renovation and repairs, those that live off the Navajo reservation? You want to be our leader. I imagine that you have studied on the policies. Altinshi, has ani be that no, don't his pehazan, nihinshna. So Kodoha had all Jishananta, Mr. Jones.
I can't speak for those that created the policies at the time. Hat ibeni na ado yite zodashashin hola. Akon the adigi e ya e jodat e bitot zo. Jo ilo iban saha case. Shikodo ban says case do adishligit algo e kut esho. Sa in lenigi de dibes an in lenitra that's egisi quena nanota. The trust fund, the Navajo Nation Veterans Administration, kwegisa anigi aron the housing policy. Dido at edak at bahazan kwito nad nishta. Bech onch ahagit algo edik at, let's say for example a veteran is given a benefit out of the policy. Benan agi a home site lease konse yont e yapdapet ne. Akot out e ya e teno e daga dondet itadapet ne. Number 2, spouses dan lenido dopetet itadapet ne. Juti kwegi hast etol nil e kwepi hatot zoto sapin dotzo. Na kigunedik at the veterans that are living off the reservation ekonanat. There are 2 beneficial ways that a veteran living off the reservation can get housing assistance. Number 1 is through the state programs. But there has to be a coordination between the state programs and then the Navajo Nation programs. None of the federal programs, they have direct services along with a coordination with health, urban development, housing and urban development. So it doesn't just necessarily have to be veterans' monies. It could be other state funds that you can use, but there has to be a coordination with the Navajo Nation.
Little known fact, NHA is cutting the ribbon on Capitol View 60-unit housing and apartment complex in Window Rock. NHA leadership has asked me to invite Secretary Scott Turner to come from HUD, Housing and Urban Development, to the Navajo Nation for this yellow ribbon cutting ceremony. And so I plan on using my contacts at the level at DC to bring them to talk about housing for the Navajo Nation. I agree that we need to hit on all cylinders, and not only that, bring Congressman Eli Crane as well, and also Billy Kirkland, to talk about these issues that we face for building houses for our veterans, and talk about the home site leasing problem that we have. You know, it's like, yeah, I'm the same. I can't speak for those people that were there that brought these policies to fruition. But we need to all come together to talk about and elevate this to the priority level where we do get change. And so as president of the Navajo Nation, I will do this using all tools that are available to me at the highest levels. Even the U.S. Veterans organization as well, association out there in DC. So we know we need to have federal, to state, the county, and every hit on all cylinders to build homes for our people. And under the Lizer administration, we will do that. And so lastly, I just want to clarify for you all that as we study these issues and work with the veterans, all 5 agencies, we will find answers, we will bring solutions, and we will implement housing for all of our veterans. So I appreciate your time and attention on this matter. Amen.
There's a difference between having land ownership versus living on the land. Unfortunately for our Navajo Nation, we're just living on a trust land versus private ownership of land off the reservation, where you have access to credit, to equity and value to your home and your property. But once you get off to Navajo Nation, we're just now living on a 75-year or years of home site lease. Hopefully we'll be lucky enough to live enough to renew our lease, but it's a very small probability. We're taking ownership of land policies and trying to apply it to a group of people that are only living on a piece of land. Those have to be examined and changed. And Peterson's anisane. Lecha ishint ta leshi behas ani dat Jin hal chingo no sin. The net I dos nehiki behas ani hadadoset. Ado tibige nina to. Di behas ani hadadosegi tabakat ahnaj chigo no sin. Hade da sahot hotskilo bikinai dol thalto sahot anado kas. Jo hotat tit nek hazat bilganak yachiltio ajaden sitzakis. The neck yachiltio so koden sitzakis. Saha hitchostka edonan tago sate najelu bojo asto lehi jo edat. Ekot aye not ani adobsnahun ta yastkiko bohonetza a hehe.
Oh, looking at these policies, I can't speak for what they were thinking at that point when they were looking at that. But for you veterans, it's really beginning to see how do we bring these aspects together. I agree with Mr. Jones, working with the states, understanding where the money is at. That's what I've done. By using an example of what I've done before was with the Farm Bill. Our farmers and ranchers had no access to EQIP money because the federal government, the Department of Agriculture, looked at the Navajo Nation as one farm and one ranch. I began to understand that and began to advocate. We did the ag census. We changed that. Once we got the ag census in place, we had access to EQIP money. It's the same thing with the states. As we begin to work closely with those states and understand, and they understand us, we can find solutions. We can find ways to fund and provide services. Then we can look at our own management and begin to provide services to our people. And so again, it's looking at this collaboratively. And I've done it. And I can have other examples to show where I've done that, working with the feds, the states, even the counties. Kat.
Yade. Right now, if you go off reservation, you go into any town, any city, you're eligible for housing assistance as everybody else. There's a Section 8, you're eligible for that. Even if you're a veteran, you know, you can be eligible for that. But as a veteran, off the reservation, they do have programs. You're put on the primary list to receive housing. You start off with a local housing organization that helps, and then you get, if you don't have housing at that moment, they put you in a motel. And then after that, they'll put you in a veteran housing program. There are very nice facilities in the cities. And also, and then they'll help you out with the permanent house. So you do have options out there. And then one that they don't tell a lot of the young veterans is that there's a thing called GI Bill. It's just not for educational purposes. It's also for housing. Realtors will say if you go, you get a job, you're out there working for what, maybe a couple of years, 2 years, 3 years. They look at you're looking at it in a house. You want a house. You go, you look at the house, and it's about maybe $200,000-$300,000, and then your realtor will look. They'll bring up the house, but then there'll be a button that says GI Bill or veteran. They push that, and say your house is about $300,000. They'll help you out for about $65,000 to about $80,000. You just have to come out with the closing cost, which is about $16,000. So you please let us give this information to the young veterans out there, because I didn't get it till just recently. So thank you.
Thank you to the hard work of our timekeeper. It's very, very helpful. We should not exclude veterans who live off the res. We have border towns, Gallup, Holbrook, Farmington, everywhere nearby. We have people all over in urban areas and abroad. When I think about it, Navajo Nation currently partners with a 501c3 already. One of them we gave $50 million to create opportunities for these, so there's nothing wrong with it. What Navajo Nation needs to do is continue to partner with these organizations, because these organizations are also receiving private funding, they're also receiving grants, and they're very good at what they do. Let them do it. There's no reason for us to create another whole division that's going to fail us. Let the 501c3 do their work. When we think about we just learned, we watched, 5-10 days of the budget hearing. Our current administration at council and Navajo Nation administration has seriously overlooked the challenges, and because they seriously overlooked it, we lost how much money? 24 million gone, just like that. We need to partner with 501c3s, because there's a whole lot of people that are just seriously focused on that, and that's what we need to see. We need honesty. We need somebody who's reliable, somebody with integrity and character to be able to oversee this. Right now, somebody's already talking about giving out $118 million as a sole source. This administration has failed us repeatedly and just gave out money like that.
Yeah, Day. Excuse my tardiness. Found out about this forum yesterday evening. So I had prior responsibilities with my work, and as soon as I got it done, I jumped in my truck and drove 100 miles here. Just kidding. I want to say welcome home to all the servicemen and women, and thank you for your service. And I say that after visiting the USS Arizona with my son and learning about what took place in Pearl Harbor. This war is not something that I can speak of because I've not experienced it. I can't imagine sending my son into a situation like that. It's pretty heavy on the heart. This is why we need to support our military families, our Gold Star families, our Blue Star families. This is why it's important that we all get involved. The mission of the Northern Arizona, this agency, is something that I can support. They want direct funding, they want direct services, they want to establish a designated regional office. That's logical and that can happen. We just need the support of the Navajo government. These HUD proposals that we're talking about, it goes back to understanding the budget process of the United States government. And if you do understand, you know that they do the 50 states first, and they leave 10% of that funding for Indian tribes. The Native tribes have to get that funding themselves and distribute it. Right now, we're still working on that infrastructure. 501c3s and 638 designations are extremely important in this work. We need to learn to administer federal funds. That's one of our biggest issues in all our governments. Thank you.
Ja, no it's other how just get a cut. No it's other. Say about this case, so you can base it on census number. As long as you have that engine, you should get help no matter where you live at, off or on the reservation. Yeah, can they should get help out of the station now. Those station live Montana, Wyoming, and last year some housing assistance fund up in the Kayato up in base house and not so Haiti Lado, although they got denied. Only the Four Corners area, you don't need. I can't shit. What does you need to know? I all in the car, Nikki now told about it. Ebe car in the Jahako. I shit out though, but car each that is no. Other Hawandi, they should all get housing when they come back from the service. Other bitch in the height. None other Joe. A job in Dutchess, landboard. I'm a landboard for the chapter. I deal with the land issues yet. Say if I become president, I'll give them issue homicide lease, a home, a keys. Here's your house. What is stealing so? Just oh base of Yoda he got so Yoda how does he die? And then meals and the Nina and the kids cannot all Karina and Dana neatly. Okay, how does it done deco? So last social base of Bagan Banda, Nislam John Yacob, Pin Ape, Kendall, Tilape, Bagan, Denzen Dolis, Ado, Ahiaha.
Oh, Yate Nana. So, to the question here, how to expand resources for our veterans that live off the Navajo Nation. Not many people know that when a president takes office, they are put in charge of doing the housing criteria internally. That needs to be transparent and shown to the public of what those criteria are, and if they are changing the housing listing, if they live or on the Navajo Nation, favoritism. And that has been my frustration with my local veteran organization. They want accountability where those public records are shown of the housing listing, either if it's on or off the Navajo Nation. As a president, when the Navajo Nation VA is right underneath office of the president and vice president, when budget time comes, the president is allowed to disseminate his allocation underneath his executive offices. For the past 4 years, he has been robbing NNVA for his own benefit to his office. And that oversight needs to change. I do support having it as its own division, so they have a set amount of what they want to do forth in their own budget. You know, many of our veterans don't know the resources that are out there for state and federal. We should be able to have that communication coming from our Navajo Nation Veterans Office. And stop robbing NNVA for their own benefit of OPBP. I know that is your own set amount. You should be able to have access, equal access into that office.
You know, I think a lot of these organizations, especially our Navajo Nation, you know, we have political operators that, you know, operate secretly, you know, behind closed doors to intentionally disrupt services, legislation, influence money, you know, political maneuvering within our government. That I think that exists today. And I think that's where some of these candidates talk about corruption. So if we look at that, these operators have intention to, you know, either disrupt housing funding or certain things to go in a certain way. And, you know, what we need to do in order to get some of these initiatives across the board is identify these political operators. You know, I think that's what they call a deep state within a government. You know, it's happening now. We have a deep state here in the Navajo Nation that silently operates in all branches, all three branches within the Navajo Nation: legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. And these are political operators that you know, intentionally do these things to disrupt our services. So that's where we have legislation stalling. That's where we have, you know, money, mismanagement of money. And, you know, this deep state has been there for a very long time. And when we really look at it and talk about it, you know, I think eventually they will be, you know, ousted. And there will be one day, I think that's coming with this in 2027.
Na yeah. Di corona de kidigi re close has anigi agent and kid hat inigi hit o one to last soy ha one your kid up a hot it or less he kay avocado no na de kidigi first of all we need to reevaluate the whole system at the Veterans Administration. There's a lot of problems there. And how do we work with what we have? In this case, times are changing. We got to change with time. Where are we at later? Because on it, in the show, you kid a net there, the well, you cook it and it should out. No, I could a niche. Lahat oh gas, ko hajonanel ito, hajo, not nilo. Ka ilaba ato nila. Jot, one so case, adnes nana handat hit all trahia. US Census, Janel Ongo, Anna Ray, but Sahata has so lay hard shit, never care about or close your agent, Naho, Adabas, the ultra, I could the never care to Naga, no ultra. Ko Janel Ongo, Beso git and a hollow. Ko ni kendleni late Claude Kid hat any Hajob and Saki, so like you have.
All right, here shnant kadot hada zigi. Aron hina hat ego eben deshnisto nenigi. Here additionally on legend also ziki on netlota. So we'll come back and say hudin ni the nitlota. Okay, question number 3. ya kodoshanant de noche hiki nan hitishkit. What is your plan to ensure the construction of the Navajo Code Talkers Museum at Sebenito, New Mexico? In 1971, the Navajo Code Talker Association was established, and their mission was to build a museum. In 2019, Navajo Code Talker Museum Incorporated was initiated, and their mission was to establish a museum. Due to the lack of the Navajo Nation, Governor Grisham of New Mexico recently reclaimed capital outlay funds. Given the historical importance of this mission, what specific steps will you take to recover this funding and move forward on the Navajo Nation's construction of the museum? $9.6 million of New Mexico Capital Outlay Fund was awarded to the Navajo Nation Code Talkers. Money was there, and that money was taken back because Navajo Nation don't have nada. Now they plan to build that Navajo Nation Museum over here by Navajo Academy, Navajo Prep Grounds. It's not just a museum. We're talking about a world-class museum. Ako kodon ka alchen sa yahiya go. Adon legon ikatla ala egin on. But yat kito manatnal kito paraphernalia yin on le cheto that. A different person, to understand why our language is very important, how sacred our language is. Nihizad epe honez nahatne. Adot neko takarya yata. 54 years they've been planning to build a museum. 54 years, and there's nothing to show for. Ako hate ego nakabin datawasnish. Jodan hini nashanant anatlenigi. Oh, that question sige kodoha doljish. Shanant Mr. Noble.
Yeah. It's how serious we think about the code talkers. How do you think about your language? I think oben janena hadle. The nedolet obis no code talkers it but they need since 71. How many were there? And how many code talkers do we have today? If we could have gotten all those the building built back then, they could have at least seen the museum. So we need to get serious about this issue. We can't just talk about it, we just need to do it, finish it, and honor them. We owe it to them. Thank you.
The United States government recruited the Navajo Code Talkers. So that's where I would look, is building this museum on a national scale. You know, the CIA recruited these gentlemen. So if we look back to our intelligence community, you know, they have the money. I think we should look more of a grander scale in Washington, D.C. I believe that our intelligence community, like the Homeland Security, Department of Homeland Security, the CIA, the FBI would be all willing to help us achieve this. And I think that, to really put a milestone marker on this at a national level, if we build it here locally, you know, that's a good idea too. But if we need to do this on a national scale, and we can do it several ways through private equity. We can go through different channels of raising cash, raising money. It's not that hard, easy. It can be achieved. The power of the manifestation is first visualizing something, and then component to that is building it. You know, like this building, this was once somebody's vision, an architectural feature. It was a drawing, and then, it was put into play by constructing it. So, just based on that concept, we can achieve anything. We just got to execute and move with it. And right now, that's not happening with that. So that's really, that's my vision for the Navajo Nation Code Talker Museum.
For in regards to the Navajo Nation Code Talker Museum, as a speaker, this has been one of my top tasks, working with our legislature. Representative Joseph Hernandez is here, I believe, and also former Representative Anthony Allison. So we're very familiar with this project. To my understanding, with the last legislative session, the governor actually put in additional dollars for this project. We do need to work, the president, if elected, we do need to work with the Code Talker Association, although the descendants, there's sometimes the descendants is left out of the conversation on where to put the location of this museum. They do need the input. Many of our families in our communities have code talkers within our communities, but we never had that input on where it would have been located. So, however, we do have to work with both governments within our own government and also with the state of New Mexico and also with the state of Arizona. We have no investment from the state of Arizona, only from the state of New Mexico. But many of our code talkers are within the state of Arizona. So we do have that conversation with both governors, and that has been my approach to have every part of leadership be part of that conversation. Because as I mentioned, it has to be that equal opportunity to all of our veterans. However, I know one of the reasons why they moved it to Navajo Preparatory School was because of the reimbursement process and also the agreement process. Because we couldn't even commit from the Division of Community Development to do that project. So even that has to be recommitment there, that we have to be there for that administrative support.
If anyone in here serves on the 501c3 board for the Navajo Code Talker, please stand. If you are a state legislator and you have worked with the museum, please stand. Don't be afraid. We have one. Mr. Hernandez, are you here? I want to walk with these individuals as your president to go to Washington, D.C., stand next to Congress, work as a DNC committee woman, and demand that our United States of America build that museum 100%, provide all of the operations, the maintenance, and all the costs to go with it for each and every year. We have people's lives, our relatives' lives. It cost us a lot. That is not priceless. Office in Washington, D.C. is our office. We have senators, representatives, and Congress. I can walk up to right up to AOC and our senators here in Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. Every person in that building loves the Navajo Code Talkers. When you talk about the Navajo Code Talkers, it is nonpartisan. Every single person will stand up with a shoulder to shoulder when we make those demands to say, we need our museum paid 100% along with operations, maintenance, and taking care of all of our personnel. That's all we ask. Thank you.
I try to help out where I can. In the last legislative session, I was an assistant to Senator Shannon Pinto. So I was sitting up front in this discussion about the Navajo Nation Code Talker Museum. And so one of the primary issues is the Navajo Nation government does not know how to utilize, disperse the capital outlay funding they've received. They have literally reverted millions upon millions and millions of dollars. And then they come back to Santa Fe asking for more. So it's the division directors, it's the administration, it's everybody that's involved, even the elected leadership here. They're not making any progress on that. One of the fiscal agents they considered was McKinley County. And McKinley County, I have issues with them, but they get the job done, they do construction. So for the Navajo Nation government, we just got to get our act together. We got to follow those rules, those procurements. We've got it all listed out. We just got to get it completed. For any grants that we've received in the federal, everything we're talking about here, it could be resolved easily with administrators. That's people requesting those in their project proposals to the federal government, to HUD, to their legislators. It could be easily taken care of. And we're over here fighting about pennies. They want to help us. We just got to get our act together, and we got to put people, responsible adults, into these leadership roles. And we have to learn to work together. Again, we're all whole community. New Mexico, Navajo Nation, the United States, they are very proud of the Navajo Code Talkers, and they know that they've contributed. They're willing to help us. There is no enemy here but ourselves. And that's getting that money where it needs to be. Thank you.
See, that's what President does. To sit down. Nah, I'm just kidding. I got jumped over here, but it's all good. I have one of these code talker dolls. Hey, love, love. Now, this was, I think they were made in 1980, no, 1980s, no, not 1986, 1995 was the year. So I have one of this. I'll play it for you, but my battery died, yeah. Okay. So I don't think I want to donate this to the Navajo Nation Museum because they might take it. Although basically, Hajoshi, hello, Hashita Museum, Nikedi, okay, though, ask on it, and that they do say so. Nikizabe Honizna, Hashitado Chidados, Indido Hashitado, do ya Hitanzenda. Ako ebeda nilado be eusna holge. Akashitado de descenda. Do Bastalida. Ako beso hollo, ako beso veteran base yonder, Oyahinda del Chuhade Nis. Abe. Ako beso hollo, she came president, Ocean. Jo, that did little been that delish. Additionally, Mr. Jones can build a museum. I'll do the drywall. Additionally, okay,
Yeah, I joined the Marine Corps out of high school. I was there. I went to go visit a friend of mine, and he goes, "Oh, I have a recruiter coming to see me." So okay. And then anyway, he talked to a recruiter, and then I was sitting on the couch over there, and then the recruiter turns towards me, "And what are you gonna do after you get out of high school?" The next thing I was in MCRD. Anyway, after we got done, there was like two of us out of everybody who was there at the boot camp that didn't get picked up by like their families. So we were just kind of walking around the MCRD, and I was walking along. They had a little bit of museum. They had World War II, Civil War. Then they had Navajo code talkers, and it's like I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was only away for so long, and to see that, gave it to me right here. So we do need a Navajo Nation Museum. It motivates our young military people, and it gives us really that heart to go. Kenta has a Navajo Nation Code Talkers museum going on over there. We need to go and probably work with them and see how they got things done. And Navajo's very resilient. We can take a can, and make artwork out of it, or else we can use it for something else, and that's the way we are. Central Consolidated School District admin offices, they only want half of the track. There's a bunch of buildings back there that they don't want. We forced them to take it on because of the maintenance issues. But I'm kind of proposing that maybe we could use that, maybe for our code talkers in the meantime until we get the museum, and maybe for the chapter, Shiprock chapter.
Looking at the museum, really approaching the state legislature as a new administration comes in, my administration, if it's chosen to be, approaching the state legislature to really begin to look at the funding aspects. Right now, the estimated cost, I believe, is around $50 million for the building. And 9.6, how do you really put those plans together so you can sell that? It's an aspect of advocating. And really, as was mentioned before, people look to the Navajo code talkers, and it's something that you can sell. You can advocate for that. Case in point was looking at the expansion of 491 and 550 that I was over. People saw the safety concerns there. People saw the accidents. They understood the importance to the Navajo people. And because of that, we were able to advocate for the widening of those highways from 2 to 4 lane highways at a cost of about $350 million. You know how much Navajo Nation put into that project? $3 million out of 350. And so again, it's a matter of advocating, going to the legislature, going to the federal government to really begin to move in that direction, because people know who the code talkers are. They know what they did to help save this country and protect this country. We need to go and advocate actively for this so we can get this construction done for the honor of those code talkers that are still here with us. Thank you.
Aheha, oyo to bilgana keshe ayo yashtkida. Ndikat oyon hichidishchil. A museum, what is a museum? A museum is a permanent, not-for-profit institution. That's what it is. It is the purpose to do research, to collect research, collect and preserve and exhibit whatever is important to groups of people. Europe and the rest of the world is in love with Native Americans around the world. They will sacrifice their monies, save it to travel to Navajo Nation, to look at us as a culturally, linguistically diverse group of people. That is why our language is truly indeed the foundation of civilization. Once Navajo language goes away, there goes our culture, there goes our society, civilization as Navajo people. So this $50 million investment to build a museum is worth every penny of it. A delegate could easily introduce legislation out of the UUFB and totally fund the situation. We got to stop bending and getting on our knees and begging people for funds when we should totally be responsible. What is the most significant things in our lives and as a society, as Navajo Nation? We have to put pride back into our hearts and minds as Navajo people. Ado tatini kede, ado ndahoti nahoti tsekot alepa ne ka, eye nhinch kego dishne aheha.
Full disclosure, this is kind of an unfair question as I am sitting on the Navajo Talker Museum Board as a board member. Back on November 27, 2017, President Trump had 3 of the 13 surviving code talkers in the Oval Office of the White House. And in there, he made a statement. He says, I want to help you build that code talker museum. And so as president, I will use his words against him and say, let's build. If you could bring a UFC ring into the South Garden of the White House, I think you can build a code talking museum. And I was there when Governor Grisham on the phone call, and she asked us code talkers to consider $10 million that she was going to throw in additionally. Even though we didn't agree that the Code Talker Museum Board should go to Farmington here at Navajo Preparatory Academy, nobody's going to balk at $10 million additional dollars. And so we voted, much to our chagrin, we support Governor Grisham throwing in an additional $10 million to support the $9.86 million that has been awarded through capital outlay. So we at the board, we made that difficult decision, but we're committed to helping build the Code Talker Museum, a Taj Mahal of Code Talker Museum boards in San Benito, New Mexico there. And so do our Code Talkers right and the Code Talker families right and actually build it. And so I agree, the Navajo Nation should give money to this, but why haven't we built it to this point? It's probably political. And when they use the term, the people's money, maybe all the people don't want the museum built. And so let's use all funds that are available to us to build the Code Talker Museum Board, and let's truly honor. I have visionary leadership on my card here. Visionary leadership. I see holograms speaking of all of our leaders and telling the stories that are very prevalent. Oh, go on it.
The call of the question. Kweba naide kidigi, kweba hadiste. Chait au ya di Code Talker Museum iki itidli. It's a good question. I asked that question during the 2022 presidential race when my son, Peter McDonald, was sitting right here. And he asked me that question, and I gave him an answer. My answer was, you have to elect a United States Marine as your president first. That's number one. Number two is the fact that whether it's in a museum, whether it's other tribal programs, we're kicking the can down the road. Let's stop the talk and let's get on the mission here. Ejo ekot Salat so ekot on case. We have a mission, we got to have a plan, and let's get the mission completed. So, here's the plan. I've already started the conversation about this museum. And who did I start the conversation with? The people that were involved of building the American Indian Museum in DC. These are lobbyists, these are staffers of different legislators and senators. We have to bring this to a national level. We need to start talking to the Marine Corps League. We need to start talking to the Navy Tailhook Association. We need to do this on a national level. Because the United States Marine, this is it. Here's the opportunity. This is how we're going to build it.
Okay, thank you. We want to see that Marine course. We want to see that Coat Talker Museum. Otto, we have 10 more questions. Just kidding. The last one, Nikki, the last question. I feel is very easy. But there's a serious policy conflict between the Navajo Nation Veterans Administration eligibility rules for Veterans Trust Fund. The federal VA, if somebody served 1 day active duty and receives an honorable discharge, that veteran is eligible for federal benefits. For the Navajo Nation policy, especially on housing, you have to serve 180 days before you're eligible for Veteran Trust Fund. In VA. Some veterans were purged from receiving benefits on the Veteran Trust Fund. Surviving spouse For an example, there was an individual that was a World War II combat veteran. He served in combat for 5 months, and he got an honorable discharge. Came home, and he passed. She was receiving trust fund benefits. This rule came in 180 days. A World War II surviving spouse. You cannot receive Navajo Nation Veteran Trust Fund. Digit ego anhe our own government now as veterans. Hashit federal Title 38. That's it. That just cut. Title 38. So what steps are you going to take to correct this? It's a very easy task. شتنا هدلن. أكوتيت the federal law أكيد. This is the federal law. One day, serve active duty, get an honorable discharge. You're eligible. In Title 38, Section 101 and Section 5303. And that is the reason why the VA compensation is not taxable. Those are federal laws. Ot Abe has so the 180 days. So this is the last question. I know you're all in a hurry. But then and we expect you to listen to us. We expect you to give us an answer because you're the one that says, I want to be your president. Larry. Oh, Mr. Noble.
Motorcycle runs, but nish in the innan. Had none and night of Kididos and I would need it by Yelki. Nearby has an year. Hinkipe has Anigi. I believe Navajo Nation law should match what the federal government has. Just all this military, when they went in, they took an oath with the federal government, not the Navajo Nation. So the federal government, as a policy, should supersede the Navajo Nation itself. Thank you.
You know, this is the deep state I was talking about. There's certain things, and I brought that up for a reason because there's certain initiatives, certain laws that don't go into effect because of this, political operators, and they walk among us in broad daylight. They introduce legislation. They operate through the president's office, through the judicial branch. And so when certain things they don't like to see, they'll certainly make it happen for that initiative not to happen. And so, there are certainly amendments. There's certainly new legislation that needs to be introduced on this. And I think as time goes on, it'll be appropriately done to fit that time. And so we just need to move on these certain initiatives so that the outcome serves everybody that would like to see that outcome. And I think that's where community involvement comes in, lobbying your council delegates, your legislatures, not just with the Navajo Nation, but through the state, through the federal level. We have a Navajo congressman going in Arizona, making that initiative. And we have even a possible first Native American governor here in the state of New Mexico. So, there's certain people who are going to fundamentally change how, we all work. So that's the sole mission and initiatives that we're all working on as leaders. Thank you.
For our last question, what are the steps or solutions that we could do to help bring resources and funding back to our veterans that have completed service with a successful DD-214? You should not be denied of any access to any of those services. I shared a story earlier of how my husband's own experience with an NVA. And to this day, he lost that confidence within the system. I know many of our veterans that are here to this day also have that same challenges. Providing for their families. You should not be turned away because you did not go through specific qualification or loss of documents. We have to make sure that we have an NVA that is supportive and also the policies that support it. When the Veteran Trust Fund was created, it was a different time. Now in 2026, the needs of our veterans have drastically changed. And many of these policies and internal policies, advisory groups, and many of these decisions that are made internally need to be keeping up to track of those changes. So we have many of our young children that are coming back home. We have to be ready for that. And I know they have many needs, different needs than we had in the past. Those are some of the policies that also need to be aligned with the different needs that we see to this day. And for the US government, I know there's different criteria, different amount of days for either if it's healthcare or if it's for a home loan or the GI Bill. There's different time frames. We should be aligned within those same similar policies from the Navajo Nation. So thank you again to the candidates for coming here, showing up for our veterans.
Yate, Donald Sword. If you clap 1 minute, that's good for your heart. The first thing I'm gonna do is get rid of Miss Baldwin. I aided our council delegates got to rephrase the wording. Yeah, instead of 180, it should be 1 day. That 1 day in those links. I call it the veteran with in the house na. Ada hut ada. As a firefighter, I'm a hotshot member with Hickory Tribe. I can lay in this chain that is so Kali. Other than it, easily probably the same way with the military. We take care of our own colors first. Is get a neat team. And we take care of the civilians. We come home as one. That it neatly. First thing I'll do is get rid of Miss Baldwin. Council delegates. List to 1 day. Every session or every meeting, Haitian the word in dog, so din dog, kaya don't in the casa, that's what I would do. Yeah.
I think that long drive without that coffee kind of affected me. So this goes back to what I've been mentioning. We got to understand the difference between policies, procedures, processes, and laws. And our different branches need to understand exactly what they're doing. When that happens, we need to have the enforcement of those decisions. And that's not happening. We're talking about changes of policy. Does that need to go to the council? Does that need to go to the president's office? Who says yes or no? It's like we can't listen to each other. We don't want to work with each other. We keep wanting to say we're smarter than the other. And that needs to stop. We need to work together, especially for this group. There are veterans across the entire Navajo Nation. They're all affected by this. Are they behind this change? Every single one of them? Are our young veterans here? Our veterans that are in service, are they being provided services? These are the things that we need to understand and talk about. This is a great administrative group, and their advocacy needs to continue, and we need to get them some funding. And being an established 501c3, they can do a lot of leg lifting and improvement in what we're talking about here. When we have disagreements, we need someone to make statements so that we can support that's neutral and fair. We don't have that right now. One of the last things we need to understand is we need to take personality and politics out of administrative work. This is administrative work here. It could easily be resolved. Thank you.
I'm so cold. I jumped in the sun earlier when I jumped in front of everybody, so I apologize to our candidates here. When I look at this, this change begins with our laws. We have control of that. And it starts with our legislators. I see Delegate Tolth here. That can start first thing Monday. Council quarterly session is coming up. Navajo Nation policies, laws are based on our delegates. They're the policymakers. That can be changed. But he's also very dependent on OLC, which also reports to Speaker. These things are long overdue. They can be done. So we need to advocate for that. I heard, is it Demetria earlier when she said restructure organization. I heard Bernice earlier. Bernice, where are you? When she said she lost confidence in the executive director. I heard Mr. Claw when he said we need a policy overhaul. These things all have to do with our policy overhaul. And it sounds very clear that everyone is in agreement in the room that the executive director is not fulfilling her contract. Business sense tells us that when somebody's not doing their contract, depending on what's in the contract, you can easily end that contract, you can buy out that contract, and you can move on. Why haven't our legislators done that for us? That's something that can be done. You know, standing watching, it's really difficult because I know I have said this, I've communicated this, I've shared this to the speaker, to delegates, to even, sometimes I don't even hear from my own delegate, so I have to reach out and find another delegate who will listen. We do that all the time, but we've got to all do it together. Thank you very much.
As a veteran, I went to my chapter to get assistance also, and to this day, they haven't really processed my my paperwork. I don't know why. It's been like 2 years, and I'm the secretary treasurer for a chapter. That's how hard it is to get assistance. So this whole thing probably needs to be looked at. I'm not sure how it would go through legislation. If we go through legislation, we'll have to go through delegates. They'll have to argue about, okay, if we're lowering it down to 1 day, how much more funding is it going to take? But the way I see it is that when we put our name on that paper and we take that oath, it's you know, the price is never too high. I mean, people didn't come back. You know, a lot of our uncles didn't make it back from Vietnam. And it's a terrible thing, especially during this war. 13 of our service people didn't make it back. So just giving them the necessity, I mean, there's not a lot of money that we're asking for just to get by. And this thing needs to be taken on right away. So as an Navajo Nation president, I mean, these are things that I myself have struggled with. So thank you very much.
Thank you for the question. And to me, this is a pretty easy fix. Pretty easy fix, but my question comes back. How come people weren't listening to you guys? Why weren't people listening to the veterans? I mean, that's one of the strengths that I have. That's a core value I've got. I listen to people. One of those aspects is I seek to understand before I try to be understood. I want to understand what you're looking at. What are your priorities? What do you see as important? And from that, begin to develop what's that common ground that we have so we can move the nation forward together. I did it with the Division of Natural Resources. You know, again, that's why I say it's an easy fix. My question isn't to really fix it at this point. My question is, our government wasn't listening. And why? I mean, you're not the only constituency that's frustrated, looking at service delivery, looking at getting things. Having somebody simply answer the phone and say, "May I help you?" And so again, we were able to achieve that with the Division of Natural Resources under my leadership back in the 2000s. And that's what I want to come back and provide that to the Navajo Nation government. Thank you.
Aber hasen go na itikit hashit hot do na hot naniki shit chende jnilna kote shnil ko do nil do jnida do jleho e olia o chance dons o a kodo nelan so ye ba shne o dishna. Let's return to the common sense and the wisdom of our elders. Let's give dignity back to them and to our people. People shouldn't beg us for services from the government. Na sonse las legend chapter house there. She a kid aden hit hanalo nihil daily la hait or nihano. Yat hitchnado and the has agent bezet dot ash adebiot it's a ilwani or nature or da nature. Then lay kid in us on slay. In the Yahana or Nelachea the deal Nehajo Baba did Ajamben DJ Bekedo in the Elande Shetna Ashbadot Nation, then Nation, oh yeah, nightish kid. Hey, kitty zetedo Asha, no nightish kitchen. And I had then adult, that adult Nahon, adult niche. What I have.
That was a great question, and I echo my brother Arvin, what he said. Why weren't they listening to you? And who's they? First define that. It is a sensitive subject, obviously, and you've echoed the same sentiment by and large. Don't use your veterans for the votes, amen? But we need to all come together and in echoing his question, why did they not listen? I offer that you all become unified. You become unified to the point where government has to listen to you. Whether it's homes, whether it's services, direct services provided to you, money for chij, money for food. My mentor, the late Robert So from Shiprock, always told me about, and I always helped him when he brought events going. You know, I remember one when I became vice president in Shiprock. He hosted a toy giveaway, and he always tried to bring you all together, unified. And so I offer this suggestion to make us all strong again, to make government strong in hearing your voice and responding, to not have different factions come and make it political, but to have one unified voice, whether it be the veterans from the Vietnam era and those from the Middle East wars, Afghanistan, Kuwait, whether you've just served one day.
Again, an answer to the question that was asked here. First and foremost, Johot out, yado listid. Did asit o nad mastot o quegit o asahant nahidil yedo edo nilta. Ado quet quat out o asahant nahidil yene yena stahagit ba nadas yo niledo do nilta did taga. We have to have complete change. Ahot out yado nil. And one of those changes is going to have to be Salah sok ahon sake sige. Akot ya did nahot leho sho. We got to have a complete stand down. We have to have a complete stand down. In January 2027, we're going to have to get all the field commanders to come in. And we need to assess what the problem is here. We cannot just put Band-Aids on one area to another area. We're going to have to put the trust fund policy here, the housing policy on the table. And then we have to put the whole Navajo Nation Veterans Administration on the table. And you veterans are going to be the ones to say how you want it. Not the president, not the council. You're going to be the ones that are going to say, Eben ni ye kwege hot eba kacha ho jo hot en hi do ni do lit shida edo de shni de do lit besh masas anda edo da ni de do ni hes laut so no slinigi edo no be ho kwege khasht edo ni.
Yeah, for some reason, that issue don't why? You know? Very simple. Just need to come back to simplicity, the basics. Just case. Closing statements for all the candidates. 3 minutes for closing statements. Mr. Jones.
We have a choice next month, July the 21st, 2026. Either we're going to go this way of the status quo, or we can have a complete change of what we're saying here today. I believe that today I have brought many ideas to you. The nanosenigi, di khasht etol neligit ago. Ako di kwen he nahot di kwen he nahot ni khitishnenigi di kwebend on nishn khitishno on khitishna. Ado bend on nishigit ado kodo ben hit khashna. Abi gaha adet nege shayat al khidohot edan sain lenig. Di khot nebetat il ahodot last so kodet na zon da esh pata hatch ndaga shit is ach no hat ishi epe e achana hoba yachilki den dot die kwen hitch nat egich no eba yachilki olya edo hatch olyeda ado kone nan klinigit ago e ya etik at khod o kwebe acheda isi Sain lenigi hast edo nelit a e kwege niche selach sonit lenigi kwe hajot an hist edatil nil an higo dedo nil o kheda bechil a edo odo nil naga an higo dest edatil nil. Why? Because we know what those problems are. Ako kheshi kwe a niga yibespahos nigi da kwe de what agot e ya e Chodon hilage izon o konnen hide donil dido donil le donil akot a e pa hosne go pa yat hiti de e kot ega shik e no senegis la sonit leni seta sain lenegi adot onha ot lohodolil adot onha nahat e dolil Jod adevan sikis lal sonit lenigi adego en hit ne yad let ash ya yanatal salal sola atateshcha jod out. These are real feelings and comments. The naut ayen hayatal di hast adonil why and how. Salal son leni kwendo tielpa that the yonil ebeni naut adesh adonil shik eno senigi Ako di ya etik at nanatik adet eight ago e an hikot e yad hidishnige kojit all president kojit na choda nana kojit legislature da at or the net side da yi nilo what I we that has to stop today. Akut out e don nili de ako e ya e kodo jo an nidige na nilo de don nili ya.
I believe under a Lizer administration, we will build homes and we will build them magnificently, homes that you like, and we'll do it the right way. We'll do it transparently, working with our 26th Navajo Nation Council. When we all work together, I think we can do amazing things. And so we'll use everything at our disposal to build homes. We'll use everything at our disposal to bring us all together to create new policies that will help govern us a little bit better than we have had in the past. And so under Eliza's administration, we will advance every care and concern that you have. Although we do know that building homes at a scale that has been unseen on the Navajo Nation, nothing is free. How do we arrive at giving homes out? And that's where it comes back to the policies that we have on place. How do we decide who gets a home? How do you prioritize that? And we can't use nepotism. We can't use who you know. It's got to be sound policies that are making decisions for us, and we support those policies. If we're going to include one person that has worked only one day and entered the military ranks and honor that, then we have to honor all of you. Do it for one, do it for all. How do we arrive at that and do it economically? So under Eliza administration, we will strive to build more homes for not only our veterans, but our elders and everybody else that's going to say, well, we want a home as well. We got to bring our people home. And I have a plan. We're working on it right now. The 501c3 gives us new capabilities. Opportunity zones give us new capabilities. EB5 funding gives us new capabilities. Sovereign wealth funds give us this ability to build homes for our veterans. So I thank you, and thank you for this time and your attention, and I support this message.
Da hois ade nikidis ai do ben yeno yahagi adon kon kislaf so in sakke so ben lenigi ado kodo ma jeda dan hlini ni hike no hlini jo e panses kis go hot khan nash. We must, as elected leaders, become the watershed for our nation. We should unapologetically that we are entitled to our language, our culture, and our land base. and the services that we should provide to our citizens, veterans should be one of the top priorities in meeting their needs. They took the best, they gave us back crippled and maimed veterans. Now how do we fix it? We're obligated to take care of each other. Banses case go dishna. Di quite on hit den da hil jako. Da hit nelgo. Elchene bikjana hit nilna long has aniki edota. Let's unlock these horns and separate them and begin to work cooperatively within these branches to provide the best we can for our people. Our people deserve that. Our people shouldn't be begging. Our people shouldn't feel less than when they come to Window Rock or other services. I see to Bishandat, Adante, you see to Biat hit and there. What I say, Salana, Ben Clandy, began a passabit of nature. The nature, the la, the big na pass. Not overstana, the illusion. Nika Katsalani, Cabot nail one hit out at Skizoha, a lebeka, what a difference we have come to a point we're so apologetic that we say, excuse me, can I speak my language? Let's go back to this. It's who we are. We're not going to apologize. We serve out of 28% of our Navajo Nation populations are these veterans that are here. Compared to 1% of the United States population, we have more veterans from the past and now is active duty. They deserve our help. Akot aban ses kes go dishne ado pinda andakhe ado da khosha pina so da zen bindin khal chen beje da hazil tsiko benal ke to kha ado has twile she khalinde halnen do hot also da dil zen det ke enhle hasen bi ha so da dil shin sho je shik dan so lago akot an ke hun shuge het de shato lelne akot ha.
You know, as I've listened, and there's been other constituencies I've been talking to, I hear your frustrations. I understand your lack in trust in the government because of the results that you've seen. You know, the lack of services. We need a stable and productive economy. But I want to speak on about restoring the collaboration between our three branches of government. And I want to explain why that's so important. Our government is made up of three branches. The executive branch carries out programs and services. Our legislative branch creates laws and approves budgets. And our judicial branch interprets those laws. Each branch has a different responsibility, but they are designed to work together for the benefit of our people. When I like to compare this to a house. You know, you can have the best roof and great walls, but if the foundation is cracked, the entire house is unstable. Our government is no different. When our branches work together, projects move forward, services improve, and communities benefit. You know, so again, we need to do this because if we don't, progress slows, opportunities are missed, and people pay the price. That's why restoring collaboration is the first priority in my platform. It creates the foundation to strengthen our government services and create opportunities that bring our young people home. I've learned throughout my career that meaningful progress is a process. When leaders work together, projects move forward, communities benefit, and lasting changes are possible. Throughout my career, I've worked with tribes, state, federal, private partners to bring people together and achieve results. When leaders work together, we see progress. Highways are expanded. Lifting the Bennett Freeze is achieved. Economic development, like building a hotel at Monument Valley. Major investments, like the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project, are done. These successes aren't the result of one person. They're a result of collaboration, shared purpose, and leaders committed to serving the people. As president, I will bring the same collaborative leadership to restore trust, strengthen our government, and build a stronger future for the Navajo Nation. If you believe in that, vote number 3, Arvin Trujillo, for Navajo Nation President. Thank you.
He's a very motivating type speaker. I love him. I'm also impressed with Tom Chi. I think he might have won this one here. You know, I'm learning a lot from him. Yat e nana. Dinebekeya natani, he's a very powerful word. I mean, that's why we're here. I believe that whoever takes that role on, we're all going to be looking at that person to see where they're going to take this Navajo Nation. And you got to be strong. You got to be out there. You got to get in the face of Donald Trump, right? You got to be standing there, say, hey, you know what? We need our money back for our education, our educational dollars, and also our medical dollars. There was a lot of medical clinics, hospitals that were shut down because of what he took from us. So we need a very strong person to go up there and stand right in front of him and say, hey, you know, we have these trusts, and also we have these agreements with the Navajo Nation and also the government of the United States. So we need to get all those back. We need to get together with the legislators and our state legislators and get all these dollars back. My platform pretty much has to do with economic tourism infrastructure. There's a lot of people out there selling on the side of the road, selling their arts and crafts, sitting in dirt, rocks, sitting in mud puddles. So we need to fix those issues. We need to be able to have these people in nice areas so that they can sell on a regular basis or during events. So what my plan is to put money into the fairgrounds. We really need to fix those areas up, and then the people will come. We need to put in we're going to modernize the facilities on our fairground areas. We need to pave the areas. We need to put restrooms in. We need to put food courts in, where we have kitchens there for at least 12 like restaurants, so they could come in, and like Lauterberg could come in. I'm talking about like Shiprock Fair, so that we can have clean food. So, you know, after that, you know, maybe we can put in some a strip mall. You know, start asking some of our young people that are small business to come in and set up shop, so that we can buy from our own people. So that's what I'm trying to do. Actually, that's what I'm gonna do. So hopefully everybody's on board with whatever needs to be done. And thank you very much for allowing me to speak here today. Okay.
Midterms are coming up. That means that each one of us in here need to vote. That makes a difference because of the makeup of Congress. Right now, the U.S. administration is pulling back on programs left and right because they believe that Native Americans are just standing there for handouts. We need to go to the ballot box and vote during the midterms. As a DNC committee woman that serves as vice president of the Western region, I will on Monday begin to tap into the 17 states and the military abroad to make sure we draft a resolution that will go to the Congress and make recommendations about what we need to do about the Code Talker Museum. Second, I will go over to the DNC Veterans Caucus and talk and work with them deliberately to ask them for for all of these needs that we talked about today. There's truly a difference between ideas and versus solutions. There truly is. My experience spans across the government, serving both urban and remote communities, nonprofit leadership and national advocacy, working with the Arizona Governor's Task Force. This nonprofit experience, the organizational establishments, operation, governments, and transitions, I've worked with all of these organizations to make things possible. For more than a decade, I've invested in our Native American youth, helping to prepare the next generation of leaders. I have also built legislative partnerships with Arizona lawmakers to advance infrastructure priorities, including the maintenance and replacement of critical water systems. Nationally, serving on the DNC is extremely helpful for me because it is about representation. When I began working on those relationships, it really helped me. I help every single day, even recently with a veteran who needed their bathroom addition. But throughout history, we know that we have leaders like Chief Manuelito who told us to get an education and come home and use it. That's what I'm doing. We have code talkers who answered the call to protect our people. And here we are. We're protected. Dr. Annie Winika taught us to protect our health and our well-being. President Albert Hill reminded us that local governance, chapter leadership empowers our chapters to protect us. Every day, Zah reminded us, mothers, grandmothers, and elders have protected us through our prayers, and that's something that we have to do. These lessons guide me today as a mother. As your president, I will be steadfast in protecting the health, safety, and livelihood of all our people across 5 agencies, our urban Navajo communities, our military families, our veterans, our youth, elders, and every Navajo citizen.
My grandfather served in World War II in the Army. My son's grandfather served in the Navy in World War II. My cousins have served in the Army, the Marines, the Navy, and the Air Force. And I have some signs that have been donated by a Blue Star family who support the campaign that I am going forward with. So I want to say thank you, Shibeja. So I see firsthand the effects of service that it's had on people. I understand the issues that are being presented before us today. The organization's mission that has been presented here is something that any person can get behind. The government should get behind. Everything that is here is logical and needed for our people, our servicemen and women. We need administrators. We need people who can put these proposals together and move forward. We have to get outside of this scarcity mindset. The budget for the Veterans Affairs Department for the United States government for 2026 is $445 billion. We need to get that money. We need to utilize it. That's why managers, administrators are important. That's why our government's important. That's why a 638 designation is important. That's why having a 501c3 is important. That's why having our records protected is important. This is not a political discussion. This is a discussion about how inefficient and wasteful our government is. And we need to improve that. We have several people here that have been in that position to make that change, and they have not. We need to elect people who will speak for you from the heart and deliver what they are saying. We need to hire true professionals. Arvin Trujillo here, he's a true professional. He understands what it means to work within the federal government and within the tribal government. We need neutral, respectful professionals like that, and we need leaders who will listen. Thank you.
Yeah, again. Yeah, they hold a house turning on a day, Jay. Taga done out on a house conscience. I don't need. Will be one strong Navajo Nation here. Don't die because I don't need shade. Firefighters, I need. I fear no evil. I need. She wants to shade on us shade. She must have been this, but you're this sleep. I squash. I don't care. Hold on, so tiny cat. Not I hold on. Not this is Shikaya Eastern Agency. Deep down, K house. Ado Hagila not so Danilia. Where'd the reservation start from? 371 in the such an shut down along the highway. So you other than that, yeah, I had to keep bunch on your right side. Crown Point was a that's the boundary line. At your checkerboard. At your big reservation date. So don't get that's where the reservation and the checkerboard start. So not on the Hona how tani. Ado Yego and Cape don't connect about that. A day oh it's get a auto in the ilga. No must sa dawn hello. Hot potatoes. A koi hotayana kali chaka hot jande. Kasi jo cannot under the little jo that the little shitty. Things out the hundred at the I'm the little puppy. They on a house tani the bishop the seal don't honza the bishop. They're well known, yeah. Sure you guys don't know me. She now Mr. Jones A. House and could. Ako, yeah. I don't vote number 14, Mr. Johnny Russell, Eastern Agency, yeah.
Shiaj Johnny is always so funny. Ado yat nado ado ashine shike. Thank you for the veterans that have hosted us. Kodo ba hinsen. Thank you. And kodo te ni je hiki. Thank you for being here. Sto ado hota e ba hinsen kodo te salalso ilne dashin needs no kon ha si kreko. Ado kodo e it's I think one of the areas when we talk about solutions is immediate action that we'll take underneath the president's office and within Veterans Administration. Ado koto veterans we have there's different priorities. Northern has different priorities that is way different from Western. The AVOs all have different priorities and challenges. But you do need a president that will listen to each one, even within the CBOs. Within this past administration with the council, we even codified many of our AVOs and CBOs into Title II, so now you are recognized through that. Now the next step is how are we going to strengthen that relationship for resources and Kodo services. As Purple Heart communities, I work really closely. Celebrating the Purple Heart community. But we have to still remember those veterans that are home that don't have a voice. many of the parents, many of the children, they have been forgotten. And many of our mothers and grandmothers that are still quietly, at home, missing their loved ones. And a lot of these problems brings me back to Shana, former presidential candidate Chris Deschini, 2014, Eshin Betasni. And these were a lot of the solutions that were presented at that time. Now we're 12 years later at the independent. These are the things that we had to take accountability for to move our veterans forward, to be there for them, to listen to them, and just to give them that chance to be part of our government. So, thank you. And again, we do have to reorganize the structure of our Veterans Administration Office. And that director's position can no longer be a contract position. If it is going to be a contract, that needs to be disclosed. And meaning, what are the accountabilities if there is a number of no confidence, and that should be adhered to. And we need leaders and directors that will obey the law. So,
is mature, disciplined, executive leadership. And that goes with, representing the largest Native American tribe in the United States, the Navajo Nation. So when you have that level of maturity and discipline, it goes a part of your attire. That is why I dress like this. This is my uniform. The military code of justice has a uniform. Their code of conduct, how you dress, how your shirt's buttoned, how your shoes shine. That is a part of discipleship and that you carry. So we are expected to see our leaders dress that way and represent us that way. That mature executive leadership. That is the protocol. That is the standard. That is what we should go by. Because we are being watched, we are being judged, we are being reviewed to the highest level of government. So there's a diplomatic protocol in play that I think that we need to go back to. Those are fundamental, leadership skills that I think that we need to adopt and really carry ourselves in a way that reflects Nahat Abatzil and strengthen our sovereignty. So that's what I bring, should and if I'm elected to the office of the President of the Navajo Nation. That level of maturity and discipleship. Your words carry weight. Your decisions carry weight. It affects communities, it affects people, livelihoods. So we have to really balance where we're going to go and what we're going to say. Should and if we go to the left or the right, it's going to carry weight in one way or another. And so these type of basic fundamental leadership skills, I think it requires a certain acumen, a certain degree, a level of consciousness, a level of, you got to be strategic and surgical with the way you make decisions. And one thing I think we are lacking in leadership is data. Leaders make decisions on data and information. When a leader has data and information before him, they can make clear, conscious decisions. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about making a decision. You either do it or you don't. We're going to move or we're going to stay where we're at. So I'm about making decisions and getting it done. Thank you.
Good evening. That was Khajaz. Yeah, Khasilo. Kodon Hadahos, Dosnant, Ice Last Soil of Lenigi, Northern Agency Veterans. Yeah, Kodoe. Kundan Hitos Kido, Hashil Sog, that is the Shil at Asho. Sol, when Hatelian, Nahata said your Neloshit, Eslahadon Nil. It's just an athlete or little shot of position number 7. A pin hat sit out of a and on this hat is Preshi Bitlan is that is Litigishi, a Behazani at all this. Oh, Nahakensen, or this Yishata, I have a grandpa that never came back from World War II. I lost a nephew in 2005, Afghanistan. Shanice served in Afghanistan. She came back ill. She didn't make it within 5 years. So that's how much I lost family members to the wars. I understand your frustration. I understand your problem. I understand some of the hurts that we all have every day. Gold Star family. The Blue Star family. We need to continue to support our military. Shanelle, my oldest Nolly boy, is in the military, active duty. So, she has aunt El Tahasi, she came not Lenigi, or Shanik Bahas and Dollish, I don't get that call. Junon died in that deck, even as she home. I seen to go a Cheda house, and even as she hand. So, John Lashe, Bakadal Nina, go Ishibin as she that il niche, because she nantai no Linico candidates need Lenigi. I thought he had called never had a hard seat on than he dealt kit. What oh yeah, I could he had an condition, you know, let you gain or Lenigi. Have a good day.
Arayat Eshna, Aroshanat Ani no Lenigi, Corona Hesot Hanigi. Thank you for showing up. I know you had schedules that you had to rearrange. You had to put in for leave requests and all of that. But yeah, thank you for coming here, listening to the veterans. Oh, yin hit this. Ahake holo o. And bikidi kata. We want to conquer that. We want to take that hill. And we need your support. We need you. Shirant no senigi. Ashon ready banan hoshka. Aro aresh ne hos no senigi. Daisa no sanki do kodo. Had it ego da e kodo. I'm gonna make a suggestion. Had it the ebe which I had no song. I don't hit it and that and tell us. Tell us. Akotina hat an lenigi di tsaki. And dahitla. We take those suggestions. We take those bitches. We take all of those. We collect them. Either we go home and we put it on the table. We characterize them. And then so we take the people's benahat and lenigi, shanant abenahat and lenigi, benashet and seekis, benashet nahwit. So to an hide ya an hijan hashe dahwit ada. So let it 1 minute, Shisla. You have timer. Thank you. Harlan, you did a real good job in timing, and thank you guys for being disciplined and following it. Once you can go ahead and intermingle, gain some votes, whatever you want to do. Remember, there's a pot of coffee still sitting back there. Cookies, take them. So, thank you.